They called it a freak accident. On paper, that's all it was. A late-night car crash on a rural highway. One fatality, two injured, alcohol possibly involved. Case closed. But if you ask the people who were there, those who survived, those who watched the aftermath, that's not the story they tell. They call it the Mile 23 turnaround. The highway runs straight for kilometers through the prairie, a narrow strip of asphalt between fields and sky. No lights, no houses, just the occasional driveway vanishing into the dark. The crash happened in late October on a clear night. No snow, no ice, no reason. Three friends in their 20s were driving back from a movie in the city. They weren't drunk. They weren't speeding. Phone records, gas station cameras, receipts, all of it would later support that. They left the city around 11:15 p.m. By 11:47, they were gone from the cameras, swallowed by the dark road. At 12:06 a.m., a farmer named Glenn heard the impact. He lived about a kilometer from mile marker 23, in one of the few houses visible from the highway. He was in bed when a sound ripped through the night. A crunching, twisting scream of metal, the kind that makes your teeth hurt. He got up, pulled on boots and a jacket, grabbed his flashlight, and drove his truck down the lane to the highway. The car was on its side in the ditch, headlights still on, engine hissing. One headlamp pointed into the sky, the other dug into the dirt, throwing broken beams around the wreck. He called 911, then went down the slope. The driver was hanging from the seatbelt, limp. The front seat passenger was disoriented but conscious, blood running from a scalp wound, eyes huge in the light. The back seat was wrong. The seat itself was caved, bent inwards like something had hit it from behind and then pushed again from the side. The glass was shattered. The door was open. No one was there. According to the post-accident investigations, there should have been a third person. Everyone they'd spoken to at the movie theater confirmed it. 3 friends in, 3 friends out. But at mile 23, there were only 2 bodies in the car. The third was found later. It's what happened in between that people talk about when they say it wasn't just an accident. The front seat passenger, Ava, remembered almost everything. She told her story to the police in a stiff, bright hospital room, her head wrapped, an IV drip ticking beside her. She said the 3 of them were tired, but not exhausted. The driver, Adam, had the radio low, humming along. The backseat passenger, Liam, was on his phone, scrolling, sometimes leaning forward to show memes over their shoulders. They passed a long stretch with no oncoming traffic, just darkness. Somewhere past the last town, my signal dropped, Ava said. We lost the radio around the same time. It went from faint music to static, then just nothing. Adam tried cycling stations, nothing but faint hisses. So we just drove. The only sound was the engine. The highway is lined with those reflective markers, short posts with white and red panels. In the headlights, they flash by like ribs of some long skeleton. After a while, Ava noticed something. The markers on the right side of the road were fine. The ones on the left weren't. When the headlights swept them, they looked like they were turned, she said, not facing the road properly, like someone had twisted them all to look at us. She laughed when she said it. It sounded ridiculous, even to her, but in the moment it crawled into her thoughts and stayed there. The markers seemed closer than they should be. The ditch seemed narrower. The darkness beyond felt thick, close to the glass. She tried to shake it off, talked to keep herself from staring too long at the window. Asked Adam if he was okay. He nodded. Just tired, he said, almost home. Then the GPS, a little dash-mounted unit, did something strange. Even though there was nothing but straight highway ahead, the map view flickered, then showed a thin side road branching off to the right, marked only as unnamed road. We both saw it, Ava said. We'd never taken a turn there. I don't think there is a road there. But the GPS showed it clear as anything. And the little voice, this cheerful, synthetic voice, said, "In 300 meters, turn right." We laughed about it. Said we weren't taking random phantom roads in the middle of the night. Then the voice spoke again. Not in 200 meters, or in 100 meters. It said, "In 300 meters, turn around." Ava frowned when she told that part. "It wasn't worded right," she said. It sounded like the kind of line it uses when you miss an exit, but we hadn't. There was nowhere to turn. It shouldn't have said that, and the way it said it. She hesitated, like it was more excited or something. Adam tapped the screen, trying to reset the route. The map flickered, then went blank. No roads, no grid, just a gray void. Then slowly, one thin line appeared. It ran from where they were, backwards. "In 50 meters, turn around," the voice said. Ava felt her stomach drop. "Is it glitching?" she asked. "Yeah," Adam said. "Stupid thing. Ignore it." From the back seat, Liam leaned forward, looked at the blank screen, and joked, "Maybe it knows something we don't." No one laughed. The markers on the left side of the road looked closer now. The white panels flashed in the headlights, bright and too frequent, like teeth. The spaces between them seemed narrower, as if the ditch was filled with more of them than usual. Each one passed by at the same rhythm as their breathing. "In 50 meters, the GPS said again, even though they'd already passed that imaginary point. "Turn around." Then, in a voice that wasn't quite its own, it added, "They're waiting." Both Ava and Adam looked at each other. "Did you hear that?" she asked. "Hear what?" he said. "The last part." "I just heard turn around," he said. From the back seat, Liam said, "I heard it. It said they're waiting." "Who's they?" Ava asked. No one answered, because the road was still empty. No other headlights, no taillights ahead. Just them and the markers and the dark. The speedometer needle sat steady. The engine sounded normal. Yet the sense of being watched grew stronger. What happened next came back in flashes. Not a clean narrative. Ava's memory had holes in it like burnt paper. She remembered disagreeing about whether to pull over. Adam wanted to keep going. Liam thought maybe they should stop. Reboot the GPS, get their bearings. "We're fine," Adam said. "We know this road. We don't need it." The GPS chimed. "In 20 meters, it said cheerful again. "Turn around." "Shut up," he muttered, and reached for the device. The map blinked back into existence. But this time, instead of a simple line, it showed something else. A small icon representing their car. Ahead of it, the line of the highway. Around that line, a cluster of tiny markers, little white rectangles. They weren't stationary, they were moving, slowly, closing in. It looked like the sides of the road were shifting, Ava said later, hands twisting in the sheets. Like the ditch was narrowing, like something was moving closer from both directions on either side of the road. The GPS zoomed in on its own. The car icon got bigger. The markers flanking it crowded closer. Then the screen went black again. In 10 meters, the voice said, flat now. Turn around. Throw it out, Liam said. Seriously, that's messed. Before they could, the headlights picked up something ahead. Not a car, not an animal, just a shape, standing on the shoulder, a person, or something in the suggestion of a person. Tall, still, facing the road. Ava squinted. She thought it might be a man in a coat or a post or a tree. It didn't move, didn't wave, didn't step back. Do you see that? She asked. Yeah, Adam said, hands tightening on the wheel. Don't stop, Liam said from the back. Just go around. They didn't have to decide. The shape took a single step forward. Into the lane. Not rushed, not panicked, deliberate, smooth. As if it knew they couldn't swerve too far without hitting the markers, without sliding into the ditch. It stepped into their headlights. And for a second it was nothing. A blank shape. And then it wasn't. It was... The word never came easily to Ava. Sometimes she said a person made wrong. Sometimes she said a shadow with skin. The details didn't add up. The limbs were too long, the head tilted too far, the shoulders too narrow. Its face. She always stopped there. Her brain didn't want to remember it. When the police pressed, she said, it looked like it was facing the wrong way, like the front of its head was the back, like it... Oh God, I don't know. It didn't look like anything I've seen. I just knew it wasn't supposed to be there. They screamed. Adam jerked the wheel. The car veered left as he tried to avoid the figure. The markers flashed by, closer than ever, then disappeared as they left the asphalt. The world flipped. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. They rolled. Once, twice. Then everything went black. Back at the scene, Farmer Glenn and the paramedics did their jobs. They pulled Ava from the car. They cut Adam down from the seatbelt and started CPR. They shone their flashlights around, looking for the third passenger. Could have been thrown, someone said. Check the ditch. They walked up and down the slope, beams slicing the tall grass, breath clouding in the cool air. They called out. No answer. They followed the skid marks, traced the path the car had taken, looked for disturbed grass, broken stalks. Nothing? Until one of them noticed the markers. The reflective posts on the left side of the road, at and around mile 23, were wrong. They weren't upright. They weren't all in a neat line. Some were bent inward. Some were tilted toward the road. And one, directly opposite the crash, near the first skid mark, was broken entirely. Snapped near the base. Its top half lay on the ground, pointing not at the road, but diagonally into the ditch. Like a finger. They followed the direction it pointed. Down the ditch, along the slope, to a patch of flattened grass about 10 meters away. There, they found the body of Liam, face down, arms at his sides, as if someone had laid him there carefully, instead of him being thrown. Later, the coroner would say he died on impact. Broken neck, instant. Officially, he was ejected from the vehicle during a rollover. Unofficially, some people doubted that, because of the footprints. The soil in the ditch was soft from earlier rain. Between the broken marker and the body, there were marks in the dirt. Not size 10 boots, not sneakers. Bare, long. They looked like a series of elongated ovals, slightly angled, as if someone with very narrow feet had walked there. But there were too many. More than one person. Not a line of single steps. 2 sets side by side, then 3, then more. The impressions overlapped, a mess of strange parallel tracks. They began at the edge of the ditch, near the road, spread out around the spot where the car first left the asphalt, and converged on the flattened patch where Liam lay. After that, nothing. No prints leading away. No disturbed grass. Just the body and an uneasy feeling. When asked later, the paramedic who saw them first said, "It looked like a lot of something walked up to him and then vanished." He refused to elaborate. In the weeks after, the highway department replaced the broken markers, straightened the bent ones, reseated the posts in fresh concrete. From a distance, mile 23 looked just like any other stretch of road, but drivers started reporting things. Nothing big, nothing dramatic, just small, unnerving details. A woman driving home from a late shift saw the markers on the left side flicker, not with reflected light, but from within, like something inside the white panels was glowing faintly. A trucker swore the posts weren't evenly spaced anymore, that some were clumped together like they'd shuffled closer. One man called in a near miss. He'd seen a person standing on the shoulder at mile 23 late at night and slowed, thinking someone needed help. But as he approached, the figure stepped backward and disappeared between the markers. Not into the field, not into a driveway, just into the space between two posts and out of sight. Like it slipped through a crack, he said. The GPS story spread fastest. A month after the crash, a thread appeared online. "Has anyone else's GPS freaked out near mile 23? Someone wrote. They described their unit showing an unnamed side road, then insisting they turn around in the middle of the empty highway. They mentioned a small garbled phrase that sounded like they're waiting. Others replied, Same, mine told me to turn around 3 times in a row. No exits nearby. Mine went blank, then only showed a line behind me. One user wrote, I turned mine off when it started doing that. Didn't want to know what the next instruction was. Another said, I didn't turn around, but for a few seconds, it felt like the car did, like my stomach dropped the way it does on a sharp curve, except the road was straight. As for Ava, she never drove that road again. She moved. She stopped driving at night. She stopped using GPS units entirely. But sometimes, when she sits in a car and looks out at the highway markers flashing by, she sees them not as safety guides, but as something else. Faces, heads, lined up along the road, turned just slightly, watching. She dreams of that night. In the dream, the car doesn't crash. They don't see a figure. The GPS just repeats, in 300 meters, turn around. Over and over. The map shows nothing but gray. The line behind them gets brighter, thicker. Eventually, the voice stops using numbers. It just says, turn around, turn around, turn around. In the dream, she does. She twists in her seat, looks back down the dark length of the car, into the back seat. In that version of the story, Liam isn't on his phone. He isn't slouched. He's sitting upright. His head is tilted too far. His face. She wakes up before she can see it. Every time. On that stretch of highway, mile marker 23 stands like any other. The official reports list a single serious accident there in recent years. 1 fatality, 2 injured. Alcohol not a factor. Driver distraction cited as a possible cause. The rest, the GPS, the markers, the footprints, the figure in the lane, is written nowhere. It travels in fragments, in late-night conversations and anonymous posts. People turn it into a story, something told around campfires or over headsets on long drives. But sometimes the story goes the other way. Drivers say, if you travel that highway late enough, long enough, letting the markers tick by like a metronome, you might hear a voice from your dash or your phone, or your own head. Calm, synthetic, inhumanly patient. In 300 meters, it will say, turn around. If you ignore it, it might repeat. If you switch it off and it keeps talking, it might add, they're waiting. If you're very unlucky, you'll realize the markers on the side of the road aren't facing the highway anymore. They're all turned towards you. And whatever's waiting at mile 23 doesn't care which way you were going. Only that, eventually, someone always listens. Someone always turns around.